Good morning. Happy Sunday to everyone. Look at all you lovely people here. Let's turn this microphone up and lock it. There we go. How are you guys doing? Dan, good morning. Welcome, Legends Club. Happy Sunday to you. Welcome to another EGM read. We are at issue 34. Lock. There we go. Which features Super Double Dragon. It's good to see all of you. Shout out to why does my mic keep going down? Sorry about that. Shout out to Matt Rubin, Cutthroat. Jay, did you get any sleep since you had the viewing of Nintendo 64 Quest? I did. Yeah, got some good sleep. Out like a light, buddy. We're up late, but that's okay once in a while. I can take it once in a while. Oh, gee, Dick Richards. Hey, good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. How you doing? Welcome on in, Dangerman. Good to see you. Good morning. Big shout out to Willie. Willie is not here today, unfortunately. Willie is doing his work gig now, so I don't know what that means for him doing future reads. He's gonna certainly come on when he can, and he knows he's always invited, but he's got to do the work thing, and I get it. We'll start the day off with a very generous $10 super chat from the Den of Geek. Happy birthday to Ghost and Liam. Hope they get lots of treats and belly rubs today. Yes, that is our dogs. So thank you very much for the $10. We're going to put it to dog treats, 100% for you, buddy. Thank you for the donation. Give you a heart there. Dale, how you doing, dude? Scuba Pete, good morning, my friend. And it's wonderful to see you as well. Special day today. Double Dragon was such a big event in our lives and a phenomenal hit in the entire gaming industry back then, Jay. It was. It absolutely was. Yeah. And this one, I think, is the Super Nintendo one. And hey, Raj, good to see you. Good to see you. Jet is here as well. Awesome stuff. Now, just so you guys know, channel members, those of you who've been around for a while, one of the perks I have besides gameplay on our community days is you can co-host one of my shows. If that's something that interests you as a channel member, please reach out to me via socials, comment on a video on YouTube or whatever, just to get my attention, and then we can certainly make that happen. All right, are we ready to get into this? So, because right now it's just me, we're going to not read absolutely everything because we tried to do that before, and if you guys remember, that friggin' killed me. But anything that comes up that you guys want as far as talking points go, please feel free to call it out, and we could certainly discuss that. And before we get into it again, a big thank you to everyone who turned out for the world premiere of Nintendo 64 Quest, the first 3 episodes in our 14-episode TV series. So we played the first 3, and it ended on a cliffhanger. It was great. Lots of laughs, and people seemed to enjoy what they saw. So really appreciate everyone who took the time. We had folks from Texas. We had folks from Germany fly in for it. So completely humbled. And thank you. Feels strange not being nervous about my reading skills right before cracking the mag. Yeah, I did see your message. I did see your message, Jen, and I've asked you a couple times now, so I don't like to overstay my welcome. But if you want to join in on future ones, for sure, buddy, because I can't. There's no way, especially like we're getting into like the thick of the actual console wars. So this magazine alone is 149 pages. So as we can see on the cover, ladies and gentlemen, the Electronic Gaming Monthly, the cover exclusive, the EB exclusive of Super Double Dragon for the Super Nintendo. Shout out once again to Retro Mags, who has taken it upon themselves to archive video game history, and it is oh so important that this trip through memory lane gets documented. So thank you, Retro Mags. If you guys wanted to read along, maybe have it a little bit bigger for you on your screen, there is a link to Retro Mags in the description of this live stream. All right, let's crack this open. Can you smell that? It's not what The Rock is cooking. It's old, like that attic antique smell. Can you smell that when we open it? I certainly can. Zazel, what is up, buddy? Good to see you, my friend. How have you been? It's been a while. And there's our buddy right off the hop, Thor Ackerland, right here. And now he is promoting Firehawk and MiG 29. Thor says, here are two great additions for your game collection. MiG 29 is the fastest jet fighter game on any system, and Firehawk has equal portions of strategy and adventure for a unique game experience. Shout out to Thor. Shout out to Thor. We got lots of great stuff here. Look at this. We have behind the screens JVC's new Mega CD for the Genesis. I think that later became the CDX, I believe. Not 100% sure. We'll get there. But look at all these sequels coming out. We have Air Zonk, which is not really a sequel to Bonk, but it's definitely in the Bonk family. Afterburner 3. We have Axley. There's so much goodness here. We're not going to waste any more time. Oh, it's the cool McDonald's dude. It's the cool McDonald's dude. Check him out. Here he is. And you must think in Russian as you play MiG. Yes. Do you remember that game? Because I have no recollection. I'm guessing that was an unlicensed game. I'm pretty sure it was. Because that one definitely does not sound familiar to me. It's all good that it wasn't. Did any of you guys have that game? You want to play MiG Kids? I've heard it's very difficult. Hey, don't shy away because of that. I'm just saying I heard it's like frustratingly difficult. What's up, Ghetto? How you doing, buddy? Good morning. Welcome to the Sunday stream. Hey, cheers to you guys. I got a cup of black here with Mr. Lennon. Cheersing to you. To the East Coast, to New York. Wonderful to see all you guys. This is software, etc. And as we found out, I can't remember who said it last week, but we found out that software, etc. used to be, I believe it was just a U.S. retailer, but they were one of the 5 businesses bought up and that eventually would become GameStop. I can usually remember 3 of the 4, but the 5th one, and that's because software, etc., I don't believe I ever went to. Save $10 on Super Nintendo. Yeah, that would have been huge back then. Look at that. With Super Scope, save $3. It's not even worth clipping it out at that point. Guardian Beardizer. What a name. Welcome on in. How you doing, my friend? Oh, I love the picture. That's a great emo-inspired haircut. Michael Myers, I think. I love it. Mick Kids was like if Mario 3 merged with Tiny Toon Adventures. Okay. I heard it's extremely difficult. So it makes me kind of want to play it, actually. Chet says we had a software etc. near us. They sold the Neo Geo. Sick. Yeah, that doesn't sound at all familiar. But in Canada, I mean, we didn't even get Electronics Boutique till like 94. So it doesn't surprise me. So again, let's start off. Ed is back in the editorial spot right now. CD-ROM. Is the industry ready for it? Now, we are in May 1992, as you guys can see. We still have the publisher, editor-in-chief is Steve. The editor for this issue is Ed. Martin's still laying down assistant editor duties, excuse me. And where were you guys in May 1992? Do you remember where you were, gaming-wise, toy-wise, comic book-wise, music-wise? Honestly, on planet Earth, as long as I've been alive, 1992 is probably one of my favorite years of existence. So much incredible of everything that I love. Incredible music, incredible films, incredible video games. Comic books were booming with the Infinity Gauntlet story, the death of Superman. Man, 92 is where it's at. My first serious girlfriend. It was great. It was a great year. Oh, Matt's laying down the humor. I bet Martin is laying down some duties. He said duties. I was into Image Comics in 1992. Yes, Cutthroat, correct me if I'm wrong, but 92 was the year Image came out, right? I remember getting Spawn 1. I remember getting Savage Dragon 1, Shadowhawk, Wildcats. Jet says, I was a poor college student. I had my first PC. Oh, very jealous. Very jealous. Raj was 12 years old in 1992. I was age wise, I don't know. Grade 12th grade. 12th grade, I believe. So how old's that? 16, I think. Around there. Look at this guy coming in. Morning Legends. Looks like you guys had fun at the premiere. Congrats. Oh, we had a blast, dude. Yeah. It was so cool. So many people came from so far. I think that was the thing that got me the most. We had people from all over. It was awesome. Good to see you, dude. All right. Is the world ready in 1992 for CD-ROM? I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? We are about to witness the beginning of a whole new generation of video games. While it only seems like yesterday that we made the jump from 8 to 16-bit gaming, very soon we will leap from 16-bit cartridges to 16-bit CD-ROM entertainment. Oh my God. It all begins with the summer CES when Sega and possibly Nintendo will unveil their new generation of games. Wow, and we think things move fast now technology-wise. It seems like every single year in the 90s, it was just progress, progress, progress. And it's how do I say this? It's not surprising that we didn't have a crash. But around just before the PlayStation came out, I was wondering if we were going to. If that makes sense. Especially with all the new companies and hardware coming in, there was just so much we were bombarded with where we felt like we had to constantly keep up, right? Guardian says, I still own first issue of GamePro EGM tips and tricks. Oh, dude, that's so great. Well, you're in the right place. Welcome on in. Yeah, I have my earliest EGM is I don't know if it's tips and tricks. It's the one with Altered Beast on the cover. Oh, what is wrong with my mic? Altered Beast on the cover. But I think my earliest EGM is issue 7. I think it is 7. Maybe I'm too close to this thing. Game Pro, I just have a few issues. I got rid of those. I was stupid and got rid of them. And I have all my Nintendo Powers and all my EGMs, though, still. But I never had number 1, so congrats on having EGM number 1. I've never even seen it, never had it. That's very cool. There is a problem, though. While the technology is there, NEC has had a CD-ROM out for a couple of years. The industry, the game designers, and the programmers may not be ready for it yet. So Ed makes a good point here where, like I was just saying, the technology is moving so damn fast, so damn quickly that the game developers can't even keep up with it. And Den with the Gifted, thank you for the 1 gifted membership. And welcome back, Josh JP Pepper. Josh was there at the premiere last night as well. So shout out to JP wherever you are. And thank you, Den Geek, for that gifted membership. The hardware worked fine, but there was no software. We're talking about the TurboGrafx CD. Without a constant flow of good software, few game players would buy this system. And I've always said this way back then, and I'll say it today. You can have a masterclass system with the greatest graphics, all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have games to support it, you just have a nice looking piece of hardware that just sits there, right? Case in point, kind of like the current generation, kind of. Also, consider the launch of Sega's Mega CD-ROM in Japan last December. The price was very high at 49,000 yen, which is about $380 US. But more importantly, the software was few and far between. And then it was at best cartridge games with audio CDs. Yeah, except for a lot of the full motion video stuff. like the digital picture stuff, but we'll get to that. Like the NEC unit, the Sega CD sold well for a short while, then the player interest dropped off very quickly. Now the system is already being heavily discounted at 32,000 yen, which is less than $250 US. Never a good sign when you start dropping the price point of your system so quickly. It's never good. The problem, Japan rushed the Mega CD out of the doors without the software. And to me, marketing wise, Sega is smarter than that. I don't understand why they did that. And actually, I didn't know this until I just read that now. Why would you launch a system without games? We've talked about how lackluster the launch of the Sega Saturn was, but at the very minimum, it came packed in with Virtual Fighter, and you got Daytona, which everyone was trying to get because that game was fire in the arcades, right? But to launch a system with no games doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You guys make any sense? Guardian says, no joke. I've got Nintendo Quest on my TV, looked at my phone, and saw you were streaming. It said Double J today. That's amazing. Well, if you haven't subbed to the channel, please do so. And if you're new, yeah, I stream Wednesday through Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern every day. So come on by. We have an absolute blast doing these EGM reads every Sunday and game streams and just talking, having a nice chill time. So welcome on in. Is Sega ready for the Consumer Electronics Show? Or are they also rushing the technology? The original Sonic the Hedgehog cartridge took 1.5 years to program. The Mega CD-ROM development systems have been in programmers' hands for less than 6 months. Is that enough learning time to get spectacular software on the market? The kind of games that cause the players to rush out and buy systems? Or will we start off like Japan with cartridge games and CD music? I hate to tell everybody, but I think that's what's going to happen. The guy, where are we here? This is only the software side of the problem. Can Sega bring the unit out at an affordable price? Will Nintendo really stick to their $200 US figure? What about the pack-in CD? Will Sonic CD be ready? What will Nintendo do? The questions go on and on. At this point, we still have to remember that we have Nintendo still striking up that deal with Sony. I think that might have passed, and they're looking at Philips now to bring out the Super Nintendo CD-ROM. We know what happens, unfortunately, with that. Officials at Sega say that they are also considering all of the possible variables, and that it won't be until the actual day of the show that a decision will be made. To what? Bring out a game with your system? Like that makes zero sense to me. It's going to be a tough one. It's kind of exciting, though. For one, I can't wait till the show and see what happens. I only hope they aren't rushing the technology. What do you guys think? Okay, that's the end of that editorial. What do you guys think? Do you think that technology went way too fast for its own good in the early 90s? Looking back now, of course, we can kind of look back. Certainly around the 32-bit era, it did. And I think that Sega brought out too much hardware too quickly. And we've talked about that till we're blue in the face. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I would say looking back now, yeah, our consoles seemingly have a 6 to 7 year lifespan now, although they're still bringing out PS4 games, which I think is absolutely amazing. But Cutthroat's talking about the turbo. Excuse me, I gotta sneeze, guys. Oh, excuse me. Cutthroat, Guardian says I had a TurboGrafx 16 and Turbo Express, and both got stolen when my house got remodeled. Still got the games though. Oh, that's too bad, mate. I always wanted a Turbo Express. Willie and myself saw one not too long ago in one of our game hunting videos, but it was $1,000. I couldn't pay the $399 price tag back then. I certainly won't pay the $1,000 for it now, but it certainly is a very important piece of technology for sure. Letters to the editor, our favorite section next to the reviews. We've got lots. Now, I think it's 3 or 4 covers that we've had Street Fighter 2 dawning it. And if you guys remember back in this time in the 90s, there was no hotter game on the planet than Street Fighter 2. It was bringing in people who didn't even like fighting games. And the fighting game scene really wasn't what it was until Street Fighter came. That being said, though, Street Fighter sure brought people down to the arcades getting interested in fighting games. So Street Fighter 2 delayed till July. And this, I believe, they're talking about the home version, the Super Nintendo version. Capcom has just issued a press release that states that Street Fighter 2 will be coming out in July rather than June. Now, you know what? This would have been devastating news, but it's only a month. Now we're getting like games that are like delayed for years for whatever reasons, right? So, and let's not forget too, there's no patches back then. So when the game comes out, that whatever's on the cart, that's it. Street Fighter 2 update. This is from Sam Lancer from Topeka. What's KS? My US friends, Kansas City. Kansas City. My favorite arcade game is Street Fighter 2. A friend of mine cued me to your spectacular coverage on the arcade game, and I've been a loyal reader since. Having just purchased your April issue, I was very impressed with the job that Capcom is doing on the Super Nintendo version of the game. I was so impressed that I just bought an SNES. I was considering getting the Genesis, but they have had nothing good in 5 months. Even though you've covered everything already, is there anything new, says Sam? Kansas, thank you. Thanks, guys. Cutthroat, Street Fighter took a lot of your pocket money. Me too, my friend. Look at this guy. HCC. That dude made a good choice with that Super Nintendo purchase. Welcome on in, brother. Happy Sunday. We got another letter. This is from Andy Brandon from LA, California. All right. I'm sure every reader who has ever picked up your magazine wants to know who is Sushi X. Why is he so mysterious? I'm sure he is not as good as Street Fighter 2 as I am. Andy, the first troll. Oh, I love it. I got to read that again. All right. I'm sure every reader who's ever picked up your magazine wants to know who Sushi X is. Why is he so mysterious? I'm sure he's not as good at Street Fighter 2 as I am. I finished the game with 4 different people. And nobody beats me. Now, let's get down to business. I own a Genesis, and I'm seriously considering getting a Super Nintendo because of the 16 meg Street Fighter 2. Now I need to know for sure will there be a special controller for use with the game, says Andy Brandon from LA, California. Jason, good morning. How are you? Happy Sunday, buddy. Dale says technology definitely went too fast in the 90s. They should have gave it time to eventually bring the CD system by itself and had an attachment to the Genesis for that and the 32X. Yeah, I agree. Willie from work, what's up, buddy? We miss you. Hope you're having a good day. Where's that bearded handsome? I'm right here, dude. I'm right here. What are you talking? Right here. We got another gifted from Santa Den. Thank you so much. And who got that? Radio Matt Gaming. Welcome on in to the Legends Club. And thank you, Den, for being so generous, my friend. Love you, brother. K-Mac is here. Good morning, Jay. HEC, Ruben, Mutron, Denegi, Cutthroat in the chat. Happy Fallback Sunday. It's late, but early. I know my dogs had me up at 4 instead of 5. It's joy. But hey, it's their birthday. So happy birthday to Liam and Ghost, by the way. Guardian says my dad got me a console in the first game for it on Christmas every year because my birthday is a month after then. First Super Nintendo games other than Super Mario World was Pilot Wings, your first other than Mario. Yes, that's great. Pilot Wings, me too. Yeah, Pilot Wings is a good teaching tool for the new console, right? It lets you see all the different fancy graphics that can happen and stuff. I don't know if it's much of a game, but there's still a lot of fun for sure. WillyLo says, I'm tired. 5 a.m. came quickly, and it was actually 4 a.m., buddy. Yeah. Got to go back. Leaving my like everyone should. Thanks, buddy. We miss you, dude. Have a good day. Okay, so let's get to the Street Fighter reply here. You can't get enough Street Fighter 2? Try the music on CD. Now, that would have been absolutely amazing. Do you know one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, my friends, is the 1986 Transformers the movie soundtrack? Do you know how difficult it was to get that soundtrack? I had to special order it from a retailer in Canada called HMV. They had to special order it, and it took 6 or 7 weeks total for this whole thing, for them to get it in, and they still weren't even sure if they could get it. My point to all that is that getting something like this, especially this one looks like the Japanese import, would have been so special to have. And also given that CDs, just music CDs in general, were new technology. So good. So we got Ed replying, hundreds of letters from devoted Street Fighter 2 fans continue to pour in each month. Thanks for all your comments, and we will continue to keep you posted on anything new. Sushi X isn't really that secretive. He's just shy. If you want to meet him, you have a good chance of seeing him at the Consumer Electronics Show this summer. The latest news is that Capcom will make a joystick. It will be called the Capcom's Competition Joystick, and it will be specifically designed for the Super Nintendo version of Street Fighter 2. Although it will work with any Super Nintendo or NES cart. Did anybody have this? I don't remember a Capcom one. Later versions of Street Fighter I do. I remember I got like this third-party one, but I don't remember a Capcom. Anybody confirm or deny this Capcom stick? The stick will have 6 buttons, 8-way joystick controller, and 3 rapid-fire turbo buttons. Cheater! For additionally easy to use and remote control cordless adapter will be sold separately. The stick will be available at the same time the cart hits the stores. No price has been set on this stick. Buddy, yes, it is the greatest. I only wish that they did, or maybe they did later, a double deluxe where we had Vince DiCola's like instrumental score, maybe on one disc, and then we had rock on the other disc. Wouldn't that have been great? Yeah, Willie, soon, buddy. We're going to that con in a couple weeks soon. Our next is from Jeff Catton from Austin, Texas. Super Nintendo CD-ROM soon? Thanks for the story on the Super Nintendo CD-ROM. Your comparison against the Genesis CD-ROM helped me decide to get the Super Nintendo system. I mean, for the same price as the Mega CD alone, I could get a Super NES plus their CD-ROM with Mario 5. Oh, will Mario 5 be a CD pack-in with the CD-ROM? I hope so, as the Super Nintendo version of Mario 4 was great in itself. Think what they're going to be able to do on CD. This guy's jumping the gun here. Mario 5. We just got Super Mario World last year. Hold your horses, Jeff. Hold your horses. For the next Mario will blow you away. Moving over to Darren Avery from Salina, Ohio. After I saw your article about the Super Famicom CD-ROM, I was wondering if it would be compatible with the Super Nintendo. What? If so, sorry, Super Famicom. Sorry, Japanese American. My fault. If so, will the American discs be compatible with the Japanese CD-ROM? I can tell you 100% wrong that it will not be compatible, Darren. The next letter, there's a lot of Super Nintendo letters here. The next letter is from Dan Wanton from Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's time to wake up. Hope you got your coffee in you, buddy. The Nintendo CD-ROM sounds awesome. I mean, anything that Sega could do, Nintendo can do at half the price. Where are you coming up with these facts, Dan? Where? I want to know. What I don't know is if it will be able to play CD plus G discs. Also, since it will eventually wear out, what kind of warranty will come with it? Oh, Dan, I love you, buddy. Moving down to Corey. Corey Border from Hemet, California. First of all, I would like to congratulate you on the Consumer Electronics Show coverage. I couldn't believe you guys were the first magazine on the Super Nintendo CD-ROM. I would like to know if Philips is going to have their own CD-ROM. Oh, you betcha. Or are they working with Nintendo? Or is Nintendo making their own system? That's a lot of questions. People want to know what's going on with the Super Nintendo CD-ROM. Hopefully we can get some answers, Ed. Here we go. After Nintendo released the info on their CD-ROM, they quickly went back into seclusion. While very little else is new, the latest word is that the Super Nintendo CD-ROM will go the same route as Sega's CD-ROM. That is, Nintendo will bring the old security chip built in to the US CD-ROM system, meaning you're not going to be able to play different regional coded games. The US discs will have a special program encoded on them to lock out the non-US CDs. Philips already has their CD system out, and Nintendo's unit will be compatible with the Philips CD system through a special bridge. The Nintendo discs will be playable on the Philips system, but not the other way around. No word yet on the pack-in. Okay. So it's really cool, too, to go back and see why Nintendo's behavior is the way it is. Example, they busted open way too soon and spread the word that they were going to have a CD-ROM attachment. You know, keep in mind, they weren't market share holders, right? Like Sega had the lion's share. Obviously, that went the other way with the Super Nintendo came out, but Sega was taking over. So they wanted to do anything they could to get the edge. But again, isn't it cool to really see why Nintendo doesn't share release dates? Why Nintendo doesn't share screenshots of the Switch 2 or whatever the hell's coming out? Because of stuff like this. Because that broke, and obviously history has shown us that there is no Super Nintendo CD-ROM. There was future plans. We know we got, the Philips CDI. We got those licensed Nintendo games. We got that, but there never was a Super Nintendo CD-ROM. So it's really cool to see kind of like the roadmap of the few mistakes that Nintendo did. And we could see why they are the way they are now. Arr! Too much Genesis coverage. Michael, how do you say that name? Andre JC Sick from Alberta, Canada. Chuck. I don't know. Whatever. This is from Michael from Alberta. And he says that there is just too much Genesis coverage. I always read your magazine, and it's great, but I am sick of always hearing about the Sega Genesis. What about the Super NES? You never give it the spotlight. You should have more about software. Sorry, you should have more about software than other items for the Super Nintendo. Oh, okay. That was worded poorly, but I get what he's saying. When Genesis first came out, it hardly had any games, and it was terrible. Now that Nintendo has a new product, you treat it like it's nothing important. Give the Super Nintendo a year or two, and you'll see who's the best, says Michael Lips from Alberta, Canada. Isn't that funny, Guardian, how it came back to bite them in the butt? Because the designers of PlayStation, they went to the heads at Sony and they're like, well, Nintendo doesn't want us. They're going to go with Philips because Philips is going to do this way cheaper. Can we push this thing forward? And the PlayStation got greenlit. Look at that. That's history right there. That's history. Now, the next letter from Ronnie Bowles from Winston-Salem, North Carolina says not enough Genesis coverage. Jeez, I mean, come on, guys. What do you want here? In your March mag, you are criticizing Sega way too much. I'm sorry to tell you that Sega has the future of video games, and some of your comments make me mad. I don't understand why you comment on the future of the Super Nintendo and NEC while you speak of Sega as if they are in the past. I do believe that the Mega CD will leave the rest in the dust. Oh, Ronnie. Poor Ronnie. Your Super Nintendo coverage in that issue was quite extensive, while the Genesis info was very slim. Why is that? Ronnie wants to know. Why is that? Well, here's Ed's response. The joys of running a multi-format magazine. All right, Ed's clapping back. Good. Give it back to him, Ed. It seems that you just can't please anybody all the time, everybody all the time. As we stated in the March issue, Sega does not show a lot of new games at the January Consumer Electronics Show. We ran pictures of everything that was there, and at the show, there just happened to be more Super Nintendo carts. The coverage will probably reverse when we cover the June Consumer Electronics Show, as Sega will bring out all the new softs, hot softs, for the Mega CD discs. Yeah. And you know, like I said, you know, working at EB Games for as long as I did, it would be the same thing where customers would get mad at us when game companies would delay a game. Like we were in the back room somehow like making, you know, the new Uncharted game. Do you know what I mean? What do we got here? Okay. Since it is myself, again, we are going to be selective about what we go through. But if there's anything you guys want to talk about that we see in the pages of the magazine, please, let's do that. Danjamin says this letters page reading like a Reddit thread. Yeah, pretty much. Well, Danjamin, I was just saying it's like it's like the pre-internet trolls, right? It's like these were the first trolls. But can you imagine like you write the letter pen and paper and then you mail it and it probably gets to them maybe a month later, then it probably sits in their mail room and maybe 1 to 2 months after that they get to it. If they deem it good enough, then they publish it a month later. So you're looking at probably like 3 months from what you wrote to what actually goes in onto print, if it makes it to print, you know. Imagine if Sega utilized the Sega CD to its full potential instead of just slightly better. You know what I think about that, Guardian? I think that too much emphasis was put on full motion video in that time period. As much as I really do love digital pictures and those games, for my own sick and twisted reasons, I think too much emphasis was put on that. And we were told and we were shown from game devs that CD-ROM was not only the future, but realistic graphics, realistic in terms of full motion video was going to be the future, right? These interactive movies, you know, the future wasn't going to lie in platformers like Super Mario and stuff like that. It was going to be you're in the movie, you're in the TV show, you're playing Night Trap, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, the 32X was 32X was created for its price point and making sure that Tom Kalinske was running Sega at the time, and it was to ensure it was like the toy model. I'm starting over my words. It was the toy model. So Kalinske basically thought, this is just what I think. He thought that he could get a 32-bit Sega in everyone's house, but not everybody can afford a $400 Saturn upon launch. So if we could do a cost-effective version of that, then everybody will buy a piece of Sega, where I really believe Sega looked at the Saturn as it being very expensive. Not everyone's going to make that leap. So I understand why they did the 32X, but the results were terrible. And not to mention, it was very difficult, if you remember, to hook it up. There was many different wires. And if you had all three together, it's pretty cool looking, right? It looked like a base, like a GI Joe base. It looked cool, but you had giant AC adapters for every single part of the game. So the 32X had one, the Sega CD had one, and then the Genesis had one. Like, this is when power bars weren't the norm, right? You know, if you're lucky, maybe we had some extension cords, but that's a lot to ask. Do you know what I mean? Crow, how you doing? Good to see you. Matt says, I don't think they realized what the CD system could actually do when the Sega CD was released. Yeah, I would agree with that too. Yeah, and we touched on that earlier in this issue, right? Where the game developers themselves didn't have enough time with this technology. So it was certainly a case of the technology was moving way quicker than programmers could understand, right? Okay, we're going to move on. Actually, do we want to talk about the Wonder Mega? Because that's not really, not remembering what that is. More Mega CD. Okay, let's just read this last one. What is the latest on the Mega CD? I don't see a whole lot of coverage in the March issue. I think I speak for all the Genesis players that you should give more attention to this great peripheral. I still love James from Waterton, Wisconsin. I love how they're blaming EGM like they're somehow biased. That's hilarious. EGM is the most unbiased video game magazine that there is. Even if they had advertising dollars thrown at them, which they did, they would still give their honest opinion. So much so that some developers didn't want to send test copies of games because they might get the honest truth and maybe they didn't want to hear it. Mo, what's up, buddy? Good morning. So Ed again sticking it to him because you're not paying attention. So Ed says, I guess you missed our February issue where we devoted 5 pages to the Sega CD and its games. In this article, we literally ripped the system apart and described every little detail. The reason you didn't see any more in March was because the only Mega CD at the CES was in our booth. Sega is holding back off showing it until June. Don't miss our exclusive first hands on test of the Wonder Mega starting on page 42. Okay, help me out, guys. Why don't I remember the Wonder Mega? That's this picture here in the top right. Did this come out? Why do I not recognize this? I do remember the CDX, which is still a grail I'm looking for. I remember the CDX, which was Sega CD and Genesis all together. But I don't remember this Wonder Mega thing. The Wonder Mega went on sale on April 1st. That sounds suspect to me. Anyway, if you guys know, let me know. Because I do not remember. Oh my goodness, look at all these. Well, we're not going to read all the letters. People are already writing in, complaining, saying that the Sega CD is going to be too expensive. And I would have to agree. For God's sakes, guys, the 3DO was $800. It was $800 in 1993, 94. The CDI, I never had when it came out, but I believe that was just as expensive. The Neo Geo was ungodly costing. You can see where this is becoming like a kid's hobby into serious businesses when you get, tech giants like Trip Hawkins from EA coming out, making out his own system and wanting it to be the centerpiece of the living room. I mean, that's great. And I'm certainly glad we did get the 3DO, but that's going to come at a very high cost. There we go. Guardians got the answer. The Wonder Mega was released in 1992 by Sega and JVC, so it did come out. Ghetto, you probably know. Are you still in the chat? The Wonder Mega. It was basically a souped up Sega CD, kind of like the sound chip in the Genesis 1 consoles. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Okay. Man, So that adds another layer onto Sega's pile of consoles, because we had the Sega CD V1, Sega CD V2 to go along with the Genesis V2. Oh, it's just so much money dumped into hardware, man, and hardware redesigns. I never understood it. Okay, I never understood it. Like, if your system is already successful, like, what's a good example? It's not a redesign, but let's look at the multicolors of the Nintendo 64. Obviously, that system was a huge hit right off the bat. So once you're already established and you're a hit, redesign all you want. Like, we got the second version of the NES and the Super NES way into the life cycle. That's fine. But when the Sega CD itself, for example, has yet to really gain that market share hold, you might not want to put any more design dollars into redesigning. Does that make sense? Mighty Mutron is here. Jay, Legends Club. Hope you're all well on this gloomy Sunday. It's gloomy here too, buddy. So we're sharing the same weather. Good to see you. And Den says $800 then for the 3DO would be $1,797 in today's money. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's basically a computer. 100%. All right, let's get to it. The review crew. We have a bunch of Super Nintendo games to start off. We have Steve, Ed, Martin, and Sushi X. So we have the same crew. Let's see what Steve's been up to. The boss is really rocking with the new carts coming out of Japan. He is still looking for NSX racing game, though. And I will also read Ed, because I like Ed and Steve usually have varying opinions. They're not usually the same. So Ed is quite happy now that he has the Wonder Mega. So Ed has one. Ed, call me. Call me. His next project is to track down the Nintendo CD-ROM in Japan. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, Ed is still looking for the Super Nintendo CD-ROM in Japan. Who had a Super Scope 6? Who had a Super Scope 6? The successor to the very, 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 very successful Nintendo Zapper. For whatever reason, the Nintendo design teams thought that making a bazooka somehow was a better choice instead of a laser gun. The Super Scope was never anything I ever owned. I never liked it. I thought it was too big, too clunky. But more importantly, shooting games like this are just not my cup of tea. Congratulations on the premiere, my friend. The pictures I've seen look like it was an awesome event. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It was very successful. More pictures will be coming out throughout the day. And I apologize to you guys. I didn't get to go live. We were pulled every which way. I didn't even have time to take one single photo myself. So I'm relying on everybody that was there. So my apologies. I didn't get to go live. But I promise to share a lot of great pictures with you today, for sure. HEC says, my cousin had the Super Scope. It wasn't the best. Cutthroat says, I had a friend with the Super Scope 6. Yeah, yeah, see, Mutron didn't like it either. It sucked. So this is the first game. This is the pack-in, I think. Yeah, there's like 6 different games or whatever. So Steve gave it a 5. Q, Price is Right. Fail noise. You can't review this peripheral game pack simply by examining the first cart. Well, the first batch of games are interesting diversions with some nice graphics. There really isn't anything we haven't seen before with light guns. Will we see games that are much different? It's speculation, but I don't think so. 5. And if we okay, here's a bit of trivia for you. Do you guys remember the Sega Genesis answer to the Super Scope? Do you guys remember? Throw it out there if you remember. Throw it out in the chat. Okay, moving on to Ed. So Ed really didn't like this thing. Ed gives it a 5. While the Super Scope looks cool and works very accurately, I just don't believe that many companies will support this bazooka. The games that come with it get boring really quickly. Also, I don't trust Nintendo. Whoa. Whoa, Ed. Whoa. Whoa. Also, I don't trust Nintendo. How long did they support their Power Pad? When did they bring out their last light game? Remember Rob? Whoa, Dick Richards got it. The Menacer. Sorry, guys. I've had this weird lingering cough ever since the T virus, but there's like nothing there. Weird. Bat Stan, good morning, buddy. How you doing? How you feeling? Don't trust Nintendo. Ban. Mods, can you ban Ed, please? Thank you very much. I hate to say it, but Ed's right. The Power Pad that they just had to have, Bandai, you guys know the story of the legendary Holy Grail known as stadium events for the NES. Nintendo had to have that game for themselves. They had to have their own Power Pad. They wanted to brand that in North America as theirs. So stadium events had to get recalled. What other games came out for it? The light gun had a couple games. What do we have? Duck Hunt. What else do we have? Hogan's Alley. Gotcha Force, I think. He's right. And Rob had two. Rob had Gyromite and Rob had Stack Up. That was it. So I see his point. The Menacer was garbage, yeah. I never had it, Mutron. It's like I said, the light games. I did what did I get into the most? I forget the company. It's called American Light something, but they're the guys that did Who Shot Johnny Rock, Mad Dog McCree. There's a police one. I have it over there. I can't remember what it's called. Crime Patrol. Those I liked. Those were the full motion video ones that were in real time. So it's like if a guy pulled a gun and shot you, you were gone. Those were fun. And they worked really, really well with the gun. Try looking those up now. Try to find any of those with the gun for like 3DO or like Sega CD. Good luck. They're worth a fortune, man. Guardian says, remember the shock vest to the Genesis that the kid wore with the Menacer? Was that a peripheral or are you referring to the box art? Guardian, I think I remember. Didn't he have like headgear and stuff like that too? It's kind of like what James looked like, right? When James put all the NES, James Rolfe, he put all the NES peripherals on his armor. It kind of looked like that. Like it was just like ridiculous. Wild Gunman, Bat Stand. Thank you. Wild Gunman's another one. Yes. Nice. Okay, moving on to The Rocketeer. Still have not seen the movie, but The Rocketeer will always hold a special place in my heart because that was the game that made me want a Commodore Amiga. I never got a Commodore Amiga, the computer. There you go. Anyway, The Rocketeer by IGS. I don't really recall that company. But Steve's going to give it a 4 to start this off. This game looks great, but when you pull it apart and look at the gameplay alone, there just isn't much left. The first sections are particular and drawn well, but the action is really confined to a small segment of play area. There's some nice graphics, but the action never really manages to hit big. 4. Q Price is right noise. Where do I have that on here? I think I have that on here. Where is it? There it is. Fail. And Ed, see what I mean? Ed likes it a bit better. If you look at the two reviews here, they're one goes up, one goes down. One goes up, one goes down. Oh, thanks for looking that up, Cutthroat. 149 pre-owned. Look up the dude, I don't know what it's called. It's called like American Light Gun. It's an orange like 6-shooter pistol that was you used with Mad Dog McCree. Look that up. So if you want to find Mad Dog McCree, the game itself is not expensive, but it's that gun. It's kind of like the Guitar Hero controllers now, how you can go to any game store and just get any Rock Band or Guitar Hero game you want, no problem, even the Beatles one. But finding the instruments now, right? Because you need those instruments to have the ultimate experience with that game. And there was a time when those guitars were just like thrown in the garbage pretty much, and now they're sought after. So anyway, that gun is very expensive. So Ed gave the Rocketeer a 6. He says, I have to give it to IGS. I have to give IGS credit for creating some innovative and exciting graphics. The gameplay, on the other hand, is only a bit better than average. I had problems in learning the controls, and this led to frustration later in the game. Once learned, though, the game was decent. It's better than average, but it's not spectacular. Yeah, I mean, Rocketeer, I could take it or leave it. Who gives a lips, right? Not this guy. Oh my God, Matt Rubin. Matt Rubin's game is here. Spanky's Quest, ladies and gentlemen. Spanky's Quest by Natsume or Natsume. I used to call him Natsume, but I also say Ninja Gaiden and not Ninja Gaiden. Either way. Steve gives it a 6. What is this game? Spanky's Quest by Natsume stars a little monkey who has lost his way home. Well, whoop-de-doo. Okay, K-Max, so that's the orange pistol. I want to get you guys. I'm not going to look it up. I'm just going to look up the American. I think it's called American Light Gun. Yeah, American Laser Games. American Laser Games. So that's it there. Can you see that? American Laser Games. That's the gun. Look that up if you guys can. Because, well, you also need a CRT TV to make that work. But anyway, we're going to review Matt's game here called Spanky's Quest. Steve gives it a 6. This game is not hard-hitting and it isn't intense, but it does have some addictive play techniques. Spanky is also a game that younger players will be able to get into while giving more advanced gamers plenty to interact with. Oh, boy. Okay. Where am I? The overall concept does wear thin after a while. But all in all, Spanky's a nice title. I'm good. American Laser Games. Yeah, look at that, guys. K-Mac has that up there. Let's bring that up. 500 US. That's like 600 Canadian. See what I mean? Those guns, right? And try and play like Mad Dog McCree with the controller. Because you do have a little icon that you can move. But forget about it over here. Because the game runs in real time because it's full motion video. So the guy will shoot you like that and you're dead. So you don't have time to drag your cursor all the way over. Oh my God, look at that. I'm not saying that. You got the same price, Cutthroat? Thanks, guys, for looking that up. Yeah, that's crazy. 500 US. Well, I don't think those things sold super well. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I know they were popular in the arcade, but back to Spanky. Ed gives it a 7. Although Spanky looks like it's meant for kids, it is. It does require some technique to get through the levels. As such, parents will like this card also, as it's a good game where the whole family can play. Anyway, how can anything endorsed by Archie be bad? Archie. There you go. We are on NES here. Yes. This is Might and Magic. Hey, any Might and Magic fans out there? What's going on? You're right, Jay. The Retro Mag crew is amazing. Huge old classic magazine collections there. Yeah. They're awesome. And I think it's important to archive this stuff. You know, when Will and I started doing this on Sundays, we started doing our show and we basically would just watch a crappy video game movie and then talk about it. That was like super fun. And then we kind of were like, I wonder if we went through like an old game magazine if people would like that. And look where we are now. We've gone over a year. We're on issue 34 and you guys are liking it. So I'm really, really, really glad because this is becoming more special than I really would have known. Like this is really we're reliving video game history like month by month and it's really exciting. It really is exciting just to see, pretty soon. Like think about this, we haven't even heard the words Mortal Kombat yet. Mortal Kombat is being developed behind the scenes, but we haven't even seen it yet. So now we're going to get, in the next few months, we're going to see like Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter and all that stuff. The 3DOs coming, the CDI, the Jaguar, all that bizarre stuff. It's just so awesome. Okay. Where are we? We're on Might and Magic. So Steve gives it a 5. People know that RPGs aren't my cup of tea, and although this title isn't on my personal hit list, it does have a lot of complexity to appeal to most role players. The designers have eased up on many of the restrictive parameters that these types of games usually have to endure. However, making this cart more enjoyable. 5. Yeah, and again, I praise EGM because they had the foresight to know that every person that was reviewing had different styles and types of games that they liked. Like Steve just said, he's not really an RPG guy. So it's cool to have 4 different opinions where a lot of game mags at the time, and I'm not slamming GamePro or Nintendo Power, I'm just saying that they had one reviewer that would do the article. So that's one opinion. I wish like sites like IGN, the biggest gaming site on the planet, I wish they would do stuff like that instead of just having, one opinion. It's cool to have 4 different perspectives. What do you guys think? Better than church. It certainly is fun for sure. And Ed is an RPG player, and he liked this one, so he's going to give it a 7. This is a hardcore RPG, and definitely not for those players who have to constantly move at warp speed. So yeah, this is a slow grind. Even though the graphics are lacking, the game more than makes up for it in complexity. A great thinker, but you better set aside a large amount of time in order to get through this one. Never played Might and Magic, like the RPG. It's a card game, right? The card game, whatever. But shout out to all the Might and Magic players. Blues Brothers. Oh boy. What a bizarre IP to make into a video game. And you guys remember when the movie Blues Brothers 2000 came out? Who remembers that monstrosity? The Nintendo 64 made a game about that. They didn't make a game about that. Nintendo 64 had a game based on Blues Brothers 2000, Jay, actually. Can you believe that? Why not Trading Places, the video game? How about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the video game? Actually, that I would play. So Steve gives it a 6 for Blues Brothers by Titus, by the way, who also, I'm a little foggy. And this one weighs in at a whopping 2 megs. So hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go looking for much in the way of a connection between this game and the characters that inspired the Blues Brothers movie. You've got a pretty standard action title with caricatures, of the leading men swaggering through one dangerous action sequence after another. Not much new here, but executed well. So basically what you're seeing here is just a generic platformer with the Blues Brothers IP slapped on top of that. And in the toy world, we call that label slapping. There's really no difference here. We've seen that. Like Back to the Future for NES has nothing to do at all with Back to the Future. Jaws barely resembles the movie. You get the idea, so on and so forth. Matt says, what? Might and Magic and the spinoffs are all video games. Magic the Gathering is a card game, actually. Oh, okay. Well, Bartlett failed. Let's get him. Where's the fail noise? I want my Stream Deck. I don't like this thing here. There we go. Come on, StreamYards. Let me hook up my Stream Deck. You won't let me do that, though. 6, again, from Ed. An interesting choice for a game. It has a title that I recognize, and Ocean backs it up with a game that plays quite well. It is a bit too easy for my taste, but it should do quite nicely for the average player. Oh, well, excuse me, Ed. Excuse me all to heck. It's nothing spectacular, just a good, solid game that delivers enough enjoyment to get your money's worth. Or, as we used to say back in the day, a good weekend rental. P90's in the house. What up, buddy? I'm flying solo. Yeah, Willie is now full-time at work. So, yeah, I've got to figure that out for sure. Sorry I missed your NHL, buddy. I saw that you were live, but I didn't get a chance to check it out. Good weekend rentals. Yeah, we were talking about that too. Like, well, we talk about that a lot. Would we want to go back? Would we really want to go back? I don't know. Sometimes I think yes, but it was always the returning of the game or the returning of the movie that I didn't like. I loved going there and getting it, but it was that Sunday night, it's like, oh man, I got to have this thing back. I got work tomorrow. I got school tomorrow. Do I really want to drive 10 minutes up the road to the old Blockbuster? Did you see Jet doesn't miss it? Yeah, it's interesting, right? Guardian, thanks for hanging out, my friend. You have yourself a great Sunday, mate. Lemmings for the Genesis by the legendary Sunsoft, creators of Journey to Silius, Batman, Blaster Master, among other masterpieces. Love you, Sunsoft. Steve gives it a 7. Keep in mind that this is nothing more than a puzzle game. Lemmings is able to succeed. Okay. The version for the Genesis platform is really no worse or better in terms of gameplay, but the sound effects and especially the music don't compare. The basics of the play mechanics, however, are intact and executed perfectly. 7. Sunsoft equals Hot Soft? Maybe? Yeah, Journey to Silius, and I probably mispronounced that. Silithus? Whatever. Yeah, it is good. Sunsoft was so great. I'm going to actually look that up after the stream. I'm going to look what happened to Sunsoft. Like, did they merge? You know how there was Enix and Square came along and they said, hey, let's be buds. You know what I mean? Namco, Bandai, let's be friends. Like, did anybody absorb Sunsoft? I wonder. They just kind of disappeared. So Ed gives it an 8. I loved the Super Nintendo version and like the Genesis. I like the Genesis version even more. More levels means more fun. He must have had a cup of coffee when he wrote this. On the Genesis, this is the number 1 puzzle game in my book. Then throw in the 2-player version, and the cart really starts looking good. Now, how long do I have to wait until, oh no, more lemmings? Rock the Casbah. What's going on? Look at that pick. Good stuff, buddy. How you doing? I had to go through like 3 years of Nintendo Power because you got me in the feels. Oh, buddy. Well, I'm happy. Isn't it great? Welcome to the stream, by the way. Isn't it great to go through that? And at first, like I was saying, it's just a nostalgia trip, right? But now I've always been obsessed with video game history, but now we get to, from our generation on, kind of relive through this because we're not stopping. Oh, we're not stopping. We're going the distance. Sunsoft still exists, Den says, really? Okay. On December 24th, 2021, Sunsoft tweeted to its fans asking for suggestions to remake their old games. Okay. So let me ask you this though. What have they made past the 16-bit era? Like anything on PlayStation, PS2, Xbox. I can't recall any Sunsoft stuff. Matt says Sunsoft is still functioning, mostly just in Japan, though. Oh, okay. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we're not getting any of those imports. Says rare gaming magazines are the real history, Jay. Even old classic Dungeons and Dragons, too. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Butters is here. The best Fortnite player this side of Fortnite. Welcome, buddy. How are you liking the new season? I'm loving it so far. Although I'm not. I like the first skin we got in the tier in the battle pass. It's great, but the rest of the skins I don't really care about. Some of the weapon camo and stuff like that is cool, but the skins aren't so great. All right, what the heck is Ernest Evans? Become a world-renowned treasure hunter in Ernest Evans by Renovation. Okay, did this game come out? Ernest Evans. Can somebody confirm or deny that? This is by Renovation for the Sega Genesis. Steve gave it a 6. While I love the manner in which the lead character moves, those same attributes make the game difficult to control in areas. It has a nice combination of graphics, unknown paths, and whip 'em out action. What? Is this a Castlevania bootleg? It has a nice combination of graphics, unknown paths, and whip 'em out action. It is a Castlevania bootleg, but none of the individual characteristics saves it from being slightly above average all around. Huh. And then Ed gave it a 7, and I'm going to get to your comments here. We got some, looks like Sunsoft stuff. Ed says everything about the game is great. It's challenging, long enough, decent backgrounds. Okay audio and good special effects. Where it falls down and where Ernest Evans really falls is the character animation. It's not all that bad as it looks. It's not all that bad as it only looks bad. Oh my God, this is killing me right here. It plays as you want to, therefore it still comes a very good game. Yeah, great. Okay, what are we talking about here? Does 3DO still hold intellectual property from Might and Magic franchise, or is it Ubisoft? I don't even know if the 3D company is still a thing. They had Studio 3DO, but I mean that was, I think the last Studio 3D games 3DO games I remember were on PS2. I don't know if it's still a thing. Jay, Sunsoft has continued to operate out of its corporate headquarters in Japan, developing and publishing role-playing video games, pachinko games, and mahjong. Okay. So they're still around. They've just shifted focus. Okay. That makes sense. Dude, I don't even know what whip 'em up action is. I don't think I want to know. I really don't. Ernest Evans, whatever. If that's a real thing, it might have to go on the list because it just sounds so ridiculous. A Castlevania bootleg. Dungeons and Dragons Warriors of the Eternal Sun for the Genesis by Sega. How can a Sega developed game get a 4 from Steve? Well, we're going to find out. My feelings towards role-playing games aside, this title could have been a killer if the game paid off to those people who will it be attracted to its Advanced Dungeons and Dragons title and theme. Advanced D&D fans, none of the background of characters or settings can be found in this title, which unfortunately plays like your typical RPG with some nice retouches. Too bad. Yeah, so it's trying to bring in new players, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but Steve says it's kind of ignoring the core fan base, the advanced D&D players, which is a bad thing. I feel like there should be a happy medium there. Come on, Sega. But Ed didn't mind it. Above average 7. Don't let the name fool you into thinking that it's a hardcore D&D cart. It isn't. It plays more like a typical role-playing game, and as such, it will be liked by a much wider audience. There you go. It looks good and has exceptional graphics for the type of game. If you're into role playing games, give this one a try. You won't be disappointed. 7. Oh my God, look at this thing. Remember we saw this last week? What a piece of crap. Look at it. You guys can be honest if you had one of these. It's fine. You don't have to be ashamed. You're in a safe place. But I got to tell you, this might be the worst controller I've ever seen in my life. This is way worse than any Bishu. Way worse. Look at this thing. Awful. Next generation multifunctional joystick for Super Nintendo and Genesis. No hands, auto fire. What are you talking about? Dude, this is awful. Look at it. It's got the American flag on it and everything. says, fun fact, dear Jay. There is a mod for Heroes of Might and Magic 5 called Heroes of Might and Magic version 5.5, which brings new characters, weapons, artifacts, maps, and even a new faction into the game. I've tested. Oh, sick. That's very cool. Thank you for that info. Butters, I challenge you to find one of these and find a way to hook it up to your Switch, buddy, and play Fortnite. Dude, you'll only be able to move like up, like forward, backward, and strife. You're not going to be able to turn around. Oh my God, can you imagine? I dare you. The Shat controller, yeah, it's terrible. Freedom Stealth Controller, America. Heck yeah. I could hear. What's that movie called? Team America. I could hear it. All right, basketball fans, that's you, Cutthroat. We got Jordan versus Bird by Electronic Arts for the Genesis. 6. This is a very well executed and put together game that has great graphics and animation, and 2 of basketball's leading men to boot. Their individual fortes, have been captured perfectly in this cart, creating another near perfect sports sim from EA. One problem: it's way too brief, and as a result, ends up short. Ed, on the other hand, gives it 1 point higher out of 7. EA knows sports. Oh, did EA or did Ed write the jingle for EA? EA, it's in the game. EA knows sports. I mean, it's close enough. They are so good that they can even take a non-sport like this and turn it into a very enjoyable hot soft. They may be stretching it a bit here, as like any action cart, once mastered, this one can get old and lose its appeal. Great graphics, great graphics, and good ball control help make this soft a success. Grow up. We're on to Star Saver by the legendary Taito for the Game Boy. Says, Jay in chat, between the years of 1991 and 1994, was GamesCon across the USA already a thing or came later? Later. I believe, my friend, we only had the CES, which stands for the Consumer Electronics Show, which is still going today. Yeah, this is way before E3 or anything like that. I think the CES happened a couple times a year. January, which was a slower season for gaming. But the CES also it was all technology, right? So you would see, new CD players, stereo equipment, that kind of thing. Challenge accepted. Don't spend a lot of money on it. I'm not responsible for that. I'm kidding with you, buddy. I'm just saying, if you find one, first of all, Butters, if you find one in the wild, good for you. You are a professional level game hunter. Second of all, if you could take down anybody in Fortnite with that thing, although you probably would be able to find a way to turn around. You probably could map the buttons, right? That would be difficult. That'd be tough. So Star Saver gets a 5 from Steve. Although this game does have its strong points, including decent graphics and play, it just doesn't stand up next to similar efforts like Mega Man that have been produced almost flawlessly. While I don't normally like to make comparisons, the areas which these types of games both treat invite such side-by-side analysis. What? The areas which these two types of games both tread invite such side-by-side analysis. That was my bad. And then Ed gives it a 6. Great Game Boy action game. Great Game Boy action games are hard to find. Well, you know why that is? That's because the screen is so tiny and we have that screen blur. You guys know we've talked about Super Mario Land. Fantastic game. But you remember, not only Mario was so tiny, but then when you held B to run, everything blurred. It was difficult for me as a kid to even see the Goomba even to jump on. That's just me though. Star Saver is in the category because it offers very good gameplay, a decent variety of power enhancements, and enough enemies to make the game challenging. For Game Boy players, this is a good cart. Get it. It's not one you will tire out of quickly. What's up, Destro? How you doing, dude? Reminder, buddy, that Video Game Con is November 16th. So we're going to be there. I don't know if you wanted to meet up still or not, but just reminding you. Top Gun for the Game Boy by Konami. Oof. Oof. Top Gun sucked on the NES. Top Gun sucks on the Game Boy. Oh, I see what you're saying, Butters. P90 says JMNX challenges to beat Ninja Gaiden 3. Are you into it? Well, let me put it to you this way. Yes, I am. But I got something special coming out this week. So I'm going to put that out first, and then I'm going to proceed. But yeah, so we got to get, you finished it. I finished Ninja Gaiden. We got to get TJ. I feel like TJ needs to finish it. Once he finishes it, do we not have to go on to 2? Did you do 2? Did you beat 2 already? Yeah, it's because the landing in Top Gun was terrible. So we got a 4 here. This type of game just shouldn't have been attempted. While the basics of the game engine are impressive, overall this game doesn't stack up. It tries to be something that is next to impossible to be due to the limitations of the hardware. If you're dying for a portable flight sim, however, go for it. We're missing some words there. Anyway, Ed gives it a 5. Wow, a flight simulator for the Game Boy. It sounds great on paper, but doesn't quite measure up to expectations once you try it. This is mainly due to the limitations of the system rather than the inability of the cart to perform. Everything is there that you need. Everything is there, but you need a lot of imagination to picture yourself in the aircraft. I mean, it looks like Aunt Connie made it, and she's an all right game designer, but let's be honest. You know, she's no Blizz dev. You know what I'm saying? Let's do what? 2? You want to do 2? P90? Oh, you did. Okay, well, I got to do 2. But I guess I could skip because I did beat 2 in the day. 100% I beat 2. All right, Destro. Yeah, be in touch, buddy, for sure. Matt says, I hated trying to land in Top Gun. I rented it, played it for all of 20 minutes, tried to take it back. Did you buy it? Oh, you rented it. Sorry. Yeah, ever since I saw the Nerds video, I mean, I've never seen Top Gun, the movie. I know you guys are going to scream at me in the chat, and that's fine. I don't really want to. I don't care about it. I don't know why that is. because I know it's a Sky Striker, but I just don't care. So the game didn't appeal to me. And after I saw James' video, the classic Top Gun video, and how it all comes down to, like, you can do the mission perfect, you can just kick butt in the dogfights, but trying to land that craft on the flag, forget it. Forget it. Who was the worst magazine reader while co-hosting the show? Well, the worst reader is probably me. But hey, I'm going solo today over here. My throat's starting to give already. Come on. You tell me who the worst reader was. You call them out. I'm not calling anybody out. Oh, see, Mo doesn't really care about it either. But there's people, dude, that swear it's like the best movie ever. Hang on. Let's talk about this here. Because up until a few weeks ago, you guys know that I never seen Alien or Aliens. Okay. And it's not that I didn't want to watch them, though. I just never got to it for whatever reason. And then I did see them, and they're fantastic movies. They live up to all the legendary status. They deserve all the hype. Top Gun, though, I just don't want to see. I just don't want to see, you know? I've seen The Abyss. Yep, that's a great one. I should get LeVar Burton to help. It's the Canadian school system. That's what happens when you're in trouble and the teachers take you out beside the locker and then they punch by your head. They don't hit you, but they punch by your head. Shout out to my teachers in public school. Man, Gen X, what a ride it was, wasn't it, my friends? What a ride. We're still going. And the game of the month, shout out to Sunsoft, is Batman by Sunsoft for the Game Boy. This game was great. Steve gives it an 8. I love the original Batman cart on Game Boy, and while the sequel is not much of a stretch beyond the territory laid down in the first entry, it is still an enjoyable, intense piece of video gaming. Great graphics complement the action, as well as equally impressive sounds and musical scores. A Game Boy winner. Ed also agrees with the 8. Now, this is what a spectacular Game Boy card is like. It has controllable action, surprisingly good graphics, excellent gameplay, and a good license behind it. The good game music is an added plus. The difficulty curve started off easy and gets harder at a reasonable pace. Rate. Don't miss the supercart. Jet, you taking off? Have yourself a good one, my friend. Thanks for hanging. I appreciate that. Don't forget, guys, to throw down a like if you're new to the channel. Give me a sub if you're enjoying the content. Would appreciate that very much. I should watch Legend. That one I have not seen. I believe that was Tom Cruise's first movie. One of his first movies. Wait. Am I thinking of the right one? Tom Cruise is not the demon. Isn't it Tim Curry's the demon in that one? I always get Legend and Labyrinth mixed up. And I know Bowie's in Labyrinth, but I always get like the two stories mixed. Outrun Europa by US Gold for the Game Gear. Steve gives it a 5. This game did little in the way of creating an illusion of speed or racing thrills. The presentation of the winding roadways is well done, but the lack of real depth and interaction eliminates much of the intensity that would normally be present. It ends up being a well-made first-person shift-and-avoid adventure that left me cold. 7 from Ed. Well, throw away your thoughts of an 8-bit outrun game. Well, it has the name. It does, it goes beyond the car racing by throwing in some motor vehicles. Although it doesn't scale exceptionally well, the challenge is nevertheless there. It is probably the best racing game for the Game Gear. Does that really say much, though? And definitely worth looking into. I mean, if you're into racing, go for it. Go for it. Speaking of racing, I think this is Hydro Thunder. It was called in the arcade. Phantom. Oh, is that Ben Affleck's in Phantom, right? Yeah, we've got to schedule, Matt. We've got to schedule another Discord hangout. We got to schedule November's. And I got to try and get everybody in. Again, if you're not a channel member, guys, consider becoming one. You get access to our private Discord where you can hang out with all of us after the streams. And it's a lot of fun. Also, if you've been around for a while too, gameplay on our community days and possibly being on stream if that is your cup of tea. It's not for everybody. But please consider becoming a channel member today. As my voice cracks. Butters, your membership expired. Buddy, what are you doing? Oh, Batstan says, well, what's the line? Is Mutron still in the chat? What's the Kevin Smith line where he says Affleck was bombs in Phantom, yo? Is that not from that one? I guess not. Huh. Anyway, we're going to move on. I think this is our last review. Hydra for the Atari Lynx by Atari. While this game only got minor raves in the coin-op form, Atari has done a very good job at capturing the overall combination of graphics and play action. Some of the glossy look is lost in the Lynx pixelized presentation and quirky sounds, but overall the interaction is good and the challenge is worthy. And Den with the gifted. Congrats to Pook Ninja X, was gifted by Santa Den, growing the community one member at a time. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate that. And again, when anybody gifts a membership, if you guys don't know, YouTube just picks random people that have been in the chat at some point. So yeah, just want everyone to know no one picks favorites here. It's just a random roll of the dice as to who gets it, which I think is really the only fair way. Phantoms is, okay, this is confusing. Phantoms is not the Phantom. Phantoms is the horror film of the Phantom is a superhero film. Okay, so what's the one with Ben Affleck then, Batstan? You know the line I'm talking about, right? Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo, that line. Trying to figure that one out. And we got a gifted membership from Matt Tracker Rubin. And congrats to our pal Stacy. Congrats on the membership. And thank you, Matt. Much love, buddy. All this support today. You guys are awesome. I really do appreciate that. I can't do it without you guys. Okay, we got one more here. Just Ed's final review on Hydra, which he gives it a 7. Atari did an excellent job of keeping the flavor of the coin-op in their Lynx version. It has all the great graphics and colors, and even scales it decently. I'm impressed, and I had a lot of fun with this cart. I think it's one of their best, definitely. It shows that the designers, the programs are getting better. Yeah. Ben Affleck was in the 1998 Phantoms. Oh, Phantoms is different than Phantom. Okay. I think that's where I was getting confused. I thought it was the same. Because the way Jay says it in the movies, like yo, yo, or whatever, right? So I thought it was the same movie. Yo, Ben Affleck was bombing. Phantoms, yo. Ah, thank you. There you go. So what the hell's Phantoms? I got to look that up. In this month, in 1992, this is a great section. It looks like EA is sponsoring this. This is a really great section. This lets us know what came out in this month in 1992. So let's just take a good overview here. So in May of 1992, we got Empire Strikes Back on NES. Yoshi, which is a puzzler for the NES. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past came out in May 1992. Holla! Woo! Super Battletech. We got Super Adventure Island. Shout out to WillyLo on the Super Nintendo. Game Boy, of course, we got Batman. Genesis, we got, what do we get? Not a whole lot. David Robinson, Supreme Court. There you go. Shout out to the San Antonio Spurs. At the Neo Geo, we got Last Resort and Mutation Nation. Turbo Graphics, Cutthroat, we got Night Creatures and Ballistics. The Master System, nothing will be released this month. Your favorite Zelda game, Link to the Past, yeah? Nice, guys. Nice. Yep. I was trying to remember where it came or when it came out in 1992. I was trying to remember. I couldn't remember the month. I thought it was July, but I think I might have that mixed up with Street Fighter. Because like both monumental releases, when World Warrior came home and Zelda 3 came home. Oh my God. This is what I'm talking about, man. 1992. If you were around then, one of the greatest years for pop culture. We got what movies came out in 92? We got Batman Returns. What else? Other stuff? Did we get Bogus Journey? Was that 92? P90 was. Yeah, you were. Gunboat for the TurboGrafx. I've never played it. No. The rarest game on the TurboGrafx 16 Cutthroat is a game called Magical Chase. That is the holy grail. Look that one up on eBay, dude. Your jaw will drop. That's the grail for Turbo. All right. Well, my throat is starting to go. I did do quite a bit of talking last night too. So I don't know if I'm going to get through all of Quarterman. I will try my best. Quarterman is the gossip columnist, and what's great about Quarterman is most of his rumors actually were true. So he really was the man on the street, getting all the knowledge. Hold on to your hats. Here we go. Howdy, game fans. It's me, Quarterman, here to tantalize you with my... Oh, God. What is that? What word is that? I don't even know that word. Something basket of gaming gossip goodies. Lots to talk about this week, my quarter friends. So don't turn that page. We'll begin with the mega rumor of the month. Word on the street is that Nintendo and Capcom are rumored to be inking a deal that will bring Street Fighter II, the 16 meg monstrosity, into the Super Nintendo system as a pack-in. That, to my knowledge, my friends, never did happen. Correct me if I'm wrong, as always, but I don't think that ever happened. The Q-Man could dig up a few details on how the rumored plan would actually work, but those in the know tell yours truly that giving Super Mario the old heave-ho in favor of the World Warriors was a compromise between the Big N and Capcom to maintain the cart's $80 suggested US retail price, which would be about $100 Canadian. More on the news later. In related Street Fighter II news, Capcom has flip-flopped on the idea of offering a special controller specifically made for the game. While they originally had intended to provide a special controller as part of the game, the folks at Capcom scrapped the idea, but instead be bringing out Street Fighter II controller separately. We got Mr. Bottles over. My sole viewer on the Twitch. Thank you, my friend, for that. And I gotta say, I accidentally clicked the Twitch multi-stream, as I don't usually do that. But Brian, thank you. Thanks, mate. So I don't think that Street Fighter II: The World Warrior was a pack-in. Yeah. P90 says, yeah, it didn't happen, almost certain. Yeah, Cutthroat brought an eBay auction up. Magical Chase for the TurboGrafx 16. 7,000. Yeah. Oh, no problem, dude. I appreciate that, Brian, very much. Oh, we got to play it too, buddy. I'm gonna set up a game. I know a lot of my daytimes or my streams are on the day, but if you ever want to play, man, just throw me a invite. We love to get you on the stream. 100%. It's good to get back to the OG Fortnite for sure. JP is here. Hello, my friend. It was really great to see JP again. JP was in a band of mine about 10 years ago, the best guitarist in the West, and hanging out with Willie and I at the Nintendo 64 Quest premiere last night here in London, Ontario. It was a great time. Great time indeed. Okay, I got one more of these in me before we're going to have to move on. So let me see here which one's really good. Can you hear it? Yeah, my voice is going here. Looks like the whiz heads at Nintendo have struck again. Let's say that again. Looks like the whiz heads at Nintendo have struck again. The Gaming Goliath is now rumored to be shipping a new development system called the Quad, which will enable developers to display graphics and generate sounds light years ahead of anything we've ever seen before. No word on when the Super NES Quad games will start hitting. I wonder if that's the Super FX chip. Because we all know that the developers love to use code words and then rename. I wonder if the Quad was a Super FX chip. Interesting. But don't look for anything in the realm of Quad before next year. Looks like Camerica to breathe new life into existing 8-bit Nintendo consoles sometime later this year. I read that as it was wrote. Though the new breakthrough in 8-bit cartridge ingenuity called the Aladdin Project, and everybody who knows their history knows the Aladdin deck, will soon be blessed with a concept that will revolutionize the way games will be sold and purchased. Look for the Aladdin deck to work his magic sometime in the second half of this year. HEC, thanks for hanging out, my friend. Oh my God. Oh my God. Matt, he's a double spy, like the Transformer. Yeah, Butter said it, Whizheads. We always get some great old school gaming terminology that are kind of like the running joke. And it looks like Whizheads might be the terminology of the week. Absolutely amazing. All right, let's keep moving on. Oh, there's our buddy, half punk rocker, half regular kid, worst controller. Okay, let's do a vote here. What's worse? Let's just do a quick vote here. That stealth controller or this thing. This is called what, the ASCII? Yeah. If you guys remember that stealth controller, let me know what's worse. The poll's up. The ASCII pad or that stealth thing that Butters has to play Fortnite on now. We'll see. All right, moving on. Behind the screens at JVC of Japan, the making of the Wonder Mega. So we did find out that this actually did come out. Did I see this at Brody's? I'm starting to think I might have seen this at Brody's. I'm going to have to go through the footage again. Or it might have been the Amiga. Might have been the Amiga 32 CD bit or the CD-ROM that I saw there. I'm going to have to go through the footage again. Anyway, you guys ever seen Fubar? This looks like Diener from Fubar. The bottom right here. Best bass player in the Midwest. Yeah, I hit the button by mistake, Josh. I don't usually dual stream. But yeah. Matt says, I love how we get so many running jokes from these streams. Randy's mom, Aunt Connie, Hot Softs, now Whiz Heads. Yeah, dude. The stealth controller is worse. It can't really be held. At least the ASCII pad can be held. Yeah. Fubar for the win. Fubar 2 is even great. Shout out to Canadian filmmakers everywhere. It's 50-50 split right now, by the way, in the poll. The Wonder Mega. It's amazing that my throat hasn't Wonder Mega. I don't know what I'm saying. Remember Fubar 2? They go to Fort Mac. Remember Tron gets the job in, like, was it the coal mines or something in Fort McMurray? It's friggin' awesome, man. It's not as good as the first. The first Fubar is great. Anyway, I know about that. International outlook. So we have games from across the pond. Okay, we got a lot of pages to go through, and voice is giving out rapidly. Josh, you never met Will, eh? Okay. Yeah, well, you'll be hanging out with him in a couple weeks, dude. I'm looking forward to you, me, and Willie getting some footage. Just a couple of 3 gamers going to the GameCon in Toronto. That's going to be lots of fun. Looking forward to it. Yeah, Will's a good guy. We are at Die Hard Video Games. Shout out to Die Hard. Look at that chair. Can you guys see it? I don't know how small it is on your screen right here. This looks like that gamer chair that we were kind of making fun of before. Tricks of the trade. We're just going to go through. Ooh, look at this awful ad for Eliminator Boat Duel. Brutal. Just brutal looking. Again, feel free to rewind the videotape if you want to jot down any of these tips and tricks for your games that you're playing, like Hole in One Golf or Rolling Thunder 2. But we're going to skip this. Skip this portion of the magazine. We have a young Cutthroat Comics in his tent in the backyard. When it's supposed to be lights out, but he don't give a lips. He's got his light boy on. He can see his game, but unfortunately, it has given away his position. And his younger brothers now know he's still awake in the July night playing Game Boy when he should be asleep. Shame on you, Cutthroat. Shame on you. And young Cutthroat comes in from the camping trip, and now he's back in the house, and he can't stop playing his video games. He has his Indiana Jones futuristic alien satchel on, which all the kids think he's the coolest. Before, he was just juggling all this stuff around. I don't know what I'm saying. It's being an idiot. Seriously, I love how EGM started to really get serious about throwing arcade coverage in here, because arcades were a separate game system. It wasn't really one we could own. I ask this from time to time, but since we have some new people in the chat now, I'm going to ask again. Does anybody know anybody who in 1992 owned an arcade unit in their house? Kid looks super excited. Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, let's go back. Look at him. Before is just he was juggling everything, right? And he has look at the acid wash, black acid wash jeans, dude. Lady killer right here. 100%. 100%. Is this Neo Geo stuff? Nope. Irene, okay, we're going through. This is soccer, and this makes soccer actually look pretty cool. I'm not a soccer fan myself, but just saying. Oh, someone who had a pinball machine. I think that's equally as cool. For sure. Yeah. Action replay. Now the power of 2 fights back. What is this the actual? That, like, look at this is really busy. This is a lot to look at. What are we looking at? The action replay is the essential companion for every Mega Drive owner. Oh, this is the actual replay. Fancy yourself as a game hacker. With the Action Replay Pro version, you can actually find and create your own parameters for infinite lives, power, energy, levels, etc. No, thank you. Because we called that back in the day, cheating. If you can't beat Ninja Gaiden without any peripherals, you can't beat it. That's just the way it is. Game genies are not allowed in this neck of the woods, and neither is your stinking action replay. There. I've said it. What game is this? Return of Double Dragon. Is this the cover story? Yep, the Super Nintendo version of Double Dragon. This is our cover story. So, I mean, arguably, the original beat 'em up, the original in this genre, certainly one of the most successful. Back in the J, yeah. Oops. This is rough doing it on your own, buddy. I'm just saying. It's hard. You would be super rich back then. Or, an adult and not a kid like us, right? An adult with an actual job where you could afford. But like, where would you even, like back in the day, where would you even find out where to buy arcade machines? Again, I'm thinking back with like a teenager's brain, but that just seemed like so crazy to me that you could even shop for professional arcade games. Game Gear, shout out. Got mine for $5 back in the day. Does it work? Probably not, but it was $5. Uh-oh. If you're walking down the street at night, okay, you turn down the alleyway, and at the end of the alleyway, you see these two dudes from the rival turf. You know you're in trouble. These are some bad dudes. Coming soon from Jellico is a new fighting game called Rival Turf. Here we go. Oh, this is not a fighting game. This is a beat 'em up. I get what they're saying. I thought this was a Street Fighter clone, but no, we got a Double Dragon clone, which is fine. Anybody play Rival Turf for the Super Nintendo? I believe right now, if you are a Switch owner, this is one of the games that you can play on the virtual Super Nintendo console. So there you go. I think. I'm pretty sure, but not 100% sure. Anybody ever play Gary Kitchen's Super Battle Tank War in the Gulf? Because I would have never touched this with a 10-foot pole, but that's me. No real life wars. I don't think that's fun. There you go, P90, if you're still here. New for the NES. Ninja Gaiden 3. The Ancient Ship of Doom. And we have Ninja Gaiden Shadow for the Game Boy, which I never played. Can you imagine trying to play Ninja Gaiden on the Game Boy? Forget about it over here. There's no way you could play Ninja Gaiden on the Game Boy. Although I want to try it now. I don't know. Anybody ever tried it? I would think, trying to juggle Super Mario Brothers would have been tough enough, but Ninja Gaiden, I don't know. Stanley in search for Dr. Livingston. What is this? This game's just called Stanley. There you go, Batstan. There you go. Dale says, I was never really good at handhelds, especially Game Boy. Tiger games, those little handhelds. Tiger games they're so bad, dude. They're terrible. Nostalgic, sure. Important, absolutely. But they're terrible. They were terrible back then, and they're still terrible now. But I would like to have some of the classics like Double Dragon and stuff just for the sake of video game history and having them in the collection 100%. Hang on, I just got to get a sip here, guys. Danjamin says, let's get you on the screen here. I loved those Dragon Warrior games back in the day, not so much now. Yeah, there's actually a lot of Dragon Warrior fans in the chat. Dragon Quest, whatever you want to call it. Dragon Warrior, I'm kind of... I didn't really like them back in the day, Danjamin. They were okay. But after I played Phantasy Star and after I played Final Fantasy, Dragon Warrior wasn't as good for me but it's like kind of the reverse. It's kind of like now I appreciate Dragon Warrior a lot more than I did. And I'm going to give a shout out here to Baseball Stars 2 by SNK, one of the greatest baseball games on the NES. It's so good. So last night, Josh was at the N64 premiere, and we had trivia for a signed Nintendo 64 poster. And the first two people, there was another gentleman, and Josh volunteered, and it was rare trivia. So basically, between the two gamers, you had to name a rare game, Rare, the company, so Banjo, and then the next person had to do the next one. And whoever got stumped was kind of cut out of the contest. Josh, it was pretty close. Josh says, last night, trying to name Rare Company N64 titles, that was difficult. I named what I could. My competition named what he could. There wasn't much left to name. He outwitted me. I was going along right with you there, buddy. There's like weird ones. Did you guys name Jet Force Gemini? Because that's like not a super mainstream one. But yeah, that's tough to do, man, especially in front of a big audience like that too, right? And Matt says Dragon Warrior 1 is why I've always loved RPGs, though they're dated by today's standards. But I love how game developers have taken 8-bit pixel games, 16-bit, even early 32-bit polygon games, and those are now styles and art forms. Like developers specifically make, we showed this off last week, but specifically make games like this in that style. I love that. So yeah, I love going back. Obviously, you guys know, to the 8-bit stuff, the 16-bit stuff. I just love that art style. We're moving on here. Moving on. Oh, there's no cooler kid than Kid Chameleon. And I always thought it was Kid Camelon. So again, it's the Canadian school system has failed me. Perhaps I failed it. Oh, let's go. Coming July 1992, the sequel to the greatest TurboGrafx game ever to exist, the Splatterhouse. This, of course, the sequel made its way onto the Sega Genesis, and only the Sega Genesis. This is a preview of what we can look forward to in the coming months. I can't wait to check out this review. Of course, made by Namco. Splatterhouse 2. The only one I don't have. Yeah. I haven't really played this one much either, but it looks pretty damn cool. Splatterhouse 2 for the win. Bulls versus Lakers. Oh, this game was amazing. So important for sports games. And it was a great game that really showed the power of Electronic Arts and how EA really started to take over in terms of sports franchises by getting one, the NBA Players Association. So you had licensed players, and then having the NBA license. So you had all the real teams. This game I played so much. Lakers versus Celtics I played a bit more, but this one I played a ton. Yeah, we just reviewed Jordan versus Bird. And okay, now let's go back. So we just had a look at what Electronic Arts was doing, getting licenses, pulling out all the stops, paying the big bucks. Okay, now the next page over, this is Sports Talk Baseball by Sega. And interesting what Sega decided to do, my speculation, was put money into the Sports Talk gimmick, which was where you would have an actual announcer in realish time describing what was going on in the game, which was also cool. But I would much rather have, I know we're talking about baseball and basketball, but you get the idea. I would much rather have the real licensed teams and the licensed players. So it kind of sucks how Sega fell off a bit. The GOATs, yeah. Who is in modern day today? Who is known as the greatest basketball player in history? I think it's LeBron James, correct? Because it's not Jordan anymore. It was Jordan for like ever. But is it LeBron James? Is he considered like the GOAT of like all time? Oh, Jordan for me too, but I mean statistically. Like in football, Montana is my guy, but Tom Brady statistically, right? Like statistically, who is? Cutthroat, you should know this. Kadash, shout out, great game. Destro says, I just picked up Super WrestleMania for the Genesis, complete in box. Not a top tier game or anything, but it's fun. Damn right, it's fun. And I'm glad, dude, you're doing that. So the talks we've had over message back and forth, I'm glad you're doing some of the stuff we talked about, man. I think it's good for you. That's awesome. So congrats. You got to come, man. You got to come to this show. It's going to light that fire under you. Trust me for that next step. Again, what we're talking about. But if you could get it off work, please don't take it off work if you're going to get in trouble. They say LeBron James is okay. Well, it should be just a quick Google, right? Statistically, there is one great player. It really is as simple as that. You know what I mean? Forever, no one could touch Jordan. But is it LeBron or is it who's I thinking of? Not Vince Carter. No, not Vince Carter. They say LeBron is, but Jordan will always be the boss. LeBron has the most points, yeah. So that's what counts, right? Jordan was scared to play against Bird, really. Bird was just a sniper with that. Like beyond the 3 points, man. He could just boom, boom, boom. He was a sniper. That was around the time I was into basketball. 90, 91, 89, around there. Who's Cutthroat? Is that your dirty old underwear? Dude, what did you sneak this slide into the magazine for? Bonk 3, Panic Cyborg. Interesting that this had a name change to Airzonk, and it's not in fact Bonk 3 because Bonk 3 became Bonk 3. I've seen Excalibur, mate. Really great. I love the 80s sword and sorcery stuff. Dragon's Lair is Dragon's Slayer is another great one. It's a very dark movie in terms of they just didn't have lights. It's a great one, though. Conan the Barbarian is probably the greatest of all of those. Let me rephrase that. Conan the Barbarian is the greatest out of all of those. Excalibur is awesome. Excalibur is very adult. So is Conan 1. You know, and this stuff that we were watching as kids, like this stuff, man. Josh would put Willow up there. Yeah, I would agree. What is this? What is this? For those who have yet to experience the ultimate in handheld entertainment, we'd like to shake your hand. Let me introduce to you Game Mate. What the hell is Game Mate? Come to grips with true entertainment value. Look at the games on it. It's a 4-in-1. Forget Super Mario Land and Batman. You could play Cube Up or Mini Golf or Brick Blaster. Vindicators. Doesn't that sound fun? Yeah, it's the budget handheld. I'm going to write that down, though. On the list. It's going on the list, guys. The Game Mate. Get my notes out here. Games list. Game mate system. Oh, that just made my day. Will I ever find one? Who knows? Who knows? More shooters on the PC Engine. Mutation Nation. Anybody ever play this on the Neo Geo? Another great beat 'em up. Next stream, you have to play Game Mate. If I find one, buddy, I gotta find one. You guys don't want to watch Brick Blaster or whatever that is. Okay, Mo, if I find a Game Mate, you have to stay for the entire stream. That's the deal. And then after, we're gonna watch Butters play Fortnite with that stealth controller, which, by the way, is winning the poll 67%. The ASCII, a measly 33%. We all know that the stealth controller is the biggest pile of garbage ever made. Jay, do you have the entire collection of Mega Man or Castlevania? Not originals. I have this. This is put out by Limited Run. 2019, I think. It's actually still available on Amazon. This Castlevania collection. I have a few. Actually, I don't have any NES Castlevanias. I have Castlevania 64. And this collection has all the old schools like Castlevania 1, 2, 3, the Game Boy ones, and Kid Dracula. It's a great collection, though. All right, Mo, it's a deal. Now I got to find the damn Game Mate. Jeez. Good thing I wrote that down because I'm totally going to forget that. What a horrible name. Win big with EGM. George Foreman. Who remembers the Foreman days? That was like Holyfield Foreman. What's that guy? Butterbean? He wasn't a pro. Was Butterbean a pro? Tyson. Glass Joe. I'm just kidding. Oh, Contra 3 The Alien Wars. It's coming in June. Ladies and gentlemen, the first 16-bit Contra. Actually, the arcade was. Sorry. The first 16-bit home version of Contra. Oh, yeah. Our one moderator, Den, was working on that. He's working on that to get him or Steve. I have a show who joins the crew, I think, in the late 90s. And he became, I think, the editor-in-chief in the mid-2000s. I have him on Facebook. We've spoke before. So I'm going to reach out to him for sure. But, oh, man, Ed, I guess, is not really on social media. And Steve, who's the big boss, Steve Harris. I don't know. If he is on there, I can't seem to find him. But we got Den of Geek on the case for us. So hopefully he can come up with something. That would be cool. And with the EGM compendium being on Kickstarter right now, you would think maybe they would do some kind of press. Look at this. Look at this on the bottom right. It's our buddy Thor holding a Neo Geo console. Did he win? Here's the result from the Neo Geo Beat the Game Lord contest. Thor won. Okay, so Thor right here won the Nintendo World Championships in 1990. Okay. He is in Nintendo Quest. We interviewed him for Nintendo Quest. He got sponsorship deal through Comerica. And he won the Neo Geo contest at the Winter CES. Dude, you want to talk about a legendary career? That's so awesome. Matt says, okay, Butterbean was a pro. He was just in a different league. All the editors from EGM are kind of busy with the EGM Kickstarter now, aren't they? Well, Den was looking into it. Steve Harris and Ed Semrad are really nowhere to be found on socials. If they are, they're really difficult to find. But we've been trying to find them. I think Den said he could only find like some kind of like some business email or something from Steve, and he said that it bounced right back because he sent him an email on behalf of the channel to try and see if if Steve would be interested in coming on the show, just to talk, man. I would love to talk to either of those guys. But I don't know. We're gonna dig deeper. There's a big turnover in the entire history of EGM. There's lots of editors that came in, lots of reviewers. You guys remember Sean Baby? Do you remember Sean Baby? Anyone? But there's lots of guys that we can reach out to, including Dan. And I am going to reach into Dan. But I just think we need to work our way up to his era of EGM. Do you know what I mean? Super Castlevania 4. Some say that this is the greatest Castlevania of all of them. I don't know. What do you guys think? I would disagree with that one. I would say the first Castlevania is still the best. Shout out to Retro Mags. Guys, make sure you give them some support, okay? Retromags.com. This is where I get the PDF file to read every single week here. So shout out to Retro Mags and preserving the important history of our favorite hobby, video games. That was EGM issue 34 from May of 1992. And that was awesome. We made it. We didn't really miss much either. Didn't miss a whole lot. I read most of it. So there you go. I got a big video dropping this week, guys, just for you. There won't be a stream on Wednesday, so I'll be starting my streaming week Thursday. Wednesday is always kind of a wild card in terms of where I get with my video production. So there will not be a stream this Wednesday, but count on it. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and of course Sunday, and my schedule will be up tomorrow if you guys want to check out my channel. Again, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to throw a sub down. If you would like to support, please feel free to become a channel member. There are 3 different levels with many different perks. What is going on? All hail. What's going on here? All hail Ellie Manning and the New York Giants. The Tom Brady Patriot Killers. Dude, I'll take your word for it. I don't know anything about any of that stuff. I definitely take your word for it. Rest your voice. Yeah. It's time to do yard work and then back to video editing. I want to thank all you guys for hanging out. Again, thanks to everyone in the chat for coming every Sunday. I'm glad you're enjoying these Retro Mag read-throughs as I am. You can see right here a few of my favorite issues I have framed. There's that EGM there with Ninja Gaiden 2. And this one here is issue 8, which is my oldest EGM with the great TurboGrafx versus Genesis on the cover. But I'm glad it means a lot to you guys. It certainly is one of my favorite days of the week too. So that's it. Yard work time. I'm out of here. Do something fun. Go drink a whiskey and or coffee. And I will see you guys next week. Please, if you are a channel member, feel free to hang out in the Discord. Send a message if you guys want to hang out. Let me know. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Please be safe. Be safe. Later, friends.